Let's talk all about AI in business. It's hosted by Brent Muller. Welcome to the Future Proof Podcast.
Hi, welcome to the latest episode of Future Proof, the podcast where we're decoding how founders, leaders, execs are changing the business landscape using AI, data, and automation. So if you're looking to future-proof your business, you're definitely in the right place. Before we jump into today's episode, as we always say, we're not here to sell you anything. But if you need to figure out where AI, you need to jumpstart it, you need to figure out where it fits in, there's a link in the show notes always to book a 30-minute call with us. We'll either tell you we can help, or we'll point you in a right direction of who can help you, because this is not something that you should be waiting on. Anyway, let's jump into today's episode. I am excited to be joined by Doug Crowe, right, from Visionary Boundaries. And yeah, Doug's got a great, amazing story, and we're going to jump right in. So Doug, thank you for joining and sharing some of your insights with us.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks so much.
Awesome. All right. So Doug, we always start with leader's journey. So talk to us about your background, which is, again, you have very similar roller coaster like all of us. So it's great.
Yeah. I studied radio, TV, and film at Northwestern, and didn't like Hollywood, and got involved with real estate and developed a bunch of properties, condo conversions, residential office buildings. 2008 happened, big dip, and during my little boohoo phase when I lost everything, I called up some of my guests on radio show that I hosted on ABC, and they said, well, geez, because I wrote a book, right? And the book was awful. So how'd you make these books work? And the people I interviewed, there's people that we all know, they said, we're best-selling authors. I'm not best-selling writer. So we developed this system of a journalist, ghostwriter, editor, designer, production. We have a 5-step process to get a founder's story in a narrative format with lessons to make them a bona fide thought leader and give them the credit of being a published best-selling author. So I did that for about 15 years and loved every minute of it. The referral thing that you and I both talked about briefly before the show started was we love sharing and giving and serving. It's the way I'm hardwired for it. And I've been doing email introductions my whole life. How many of them turned into business with somebody? I don't know. Right. I felt good, but did I have any results? So we started the Visionaries Roundtable a little while ago, and I actually bring people together for this express purpose of building relationships. And it's the exact same event that I'd want to go to versus the one I want to host. Hey, I don't want any keynote speakers. I want my celebrities at the table with you. I don't want workshops I can't relate to. We'll just curate content amongst ourselves. I don't like a pitch fest. Nobody does. So we don't have any pitch fest. It's pure networking with high achievers and people in the M&A world, VC, and some IPO people as well.
Awesome. I love it. It's brilliant. And probably, as we were talking before, right, your concept is, if you've ever been to a conference, right, where do the best conversations happen? After at dinner or at the bar or in the hallway, right? And you're capturing that with Visionary Roundtable, which I think is phenomenal.
Sure.
And honestly, I wish more people would do that, because you're right, absolutely right. That's where all of the really key things happen. But let's talk about now a little bit about what you're seeing in the industry. And you touch a lot of industries, so kind of layer in anything you're seeing and hearing.
Yep. Sports, education, hospitality, tech, manufacturing, automotive, transport. Yeah. I have clients that are in every single industry. And one of my favorite clients, a guy who actually has 15 patents and he's a genius, from a rocket scientist turned IPO creator. He's done a bunch of IPOs. He wrote a book called Life with AI. And we got the fortunate opportunity to go through and edit it and publish it for him. And everyone knows AI is disruptive, but nobody understands math very well. And, we talk about, the GPT increases. Oh, yeah, it's better, twice as good. Do you realize in a few years, the prediction is going to be 10,000 times better? Now, our brains can't handle that number. We don't know what 10,000 times anything is. Nobody knows exactly what the world will look like in 5 years. If they think they do, most likely they're wrong. It's going to disrupt everything.
And I don't understand why people aren't grasping just that. Before we jump into the next thing, where you're going right now, right? I read on Medium that they're predicting at a minimum GPT-5 from 4, right, which we're about to do this month.
Yeah,
is at least 3.5, but it might be up to 7 times a jump from GPT.
Right.
I don't know if our brains can handle that, let alone what you just said.
Yeah. It probably can't, because 5 times, what does it mean? What does it mean? 5 times faster, 5 times more accurate, 5 times more volume? No, that's two-dimensional thinking. The three-dimensional thinking is, what process can I actually, that I'm doing right now? We could take this podcast, for example. We're taking time out to sit down and talk and record this. Maybe we'll have some automation cut clips for us. Maybe we'll have some automation create a graphic, transcribe it easy, captions, of course. But what else could it do? Could it get guests and host it? And me, I heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger's podcast, he's never ever been on it. It's his AI clones been doing it the whole time. Now, is that good or bad? Or I don't know. I have a certain perspective on the AI disruption that I'm very passionate about, and we can get to that when you're ready. But it will affect everybody. And yeah, 5 times, I can't imagine that. 10,000, impossible.
Impossible. Right. I can't even get there. Yeah. But I think what I really want to ask you before we get into kind of what your thoughts are in the next 1 to 2 years, because again, I tell everybody, don't ever come on the podcast, right? If you're a founder, right? And I think you're going to corroborate this, and tell me your 5-year or 10-year plan. It's ridiculous, right? With what we're talking about right now, there's no such thing. There can't be, because things are changing so fast, right?
It's tough for Americans. Imagine the poor Japanese. They used to have 100-year business plans. I lived there for a summer. I got to stay with the vice president of NEC, and they have 100-year business plans. Like, I don't know what they're doing now. It's like, it's impossible.
Well, I'm going to flip it, because I want to end with what I was just going to ask. Let me flip this. So let's talk about what you see in the next 18 months, right? And then kind of talk across some of the industries that you're about.
I can start with my own industry. As a ghostwriting publishing firm, I've seen great strides in crappy outputs to things that's pretty more reasonable with proper prompting and knowledge education. They took out it's not going back 3 years. It's more present. It's improved for that. I was listening to Simon Sinek talk about this just last week, and he said, last year I wouldn't have AI touch my book. This year I'm working on one, and you know what? The output was pretty darn close to my actual voice, but there's one thing missing. And he said, I didn't write it. And I didn't go through the gestation, the pain and suffering of thought and critical thinking and iteration by my ideas myself. The robot did it for me. And we've all seen this recent MIT study about cognitive function and our intelligence dropping precipitously by depending on AI for creative endeavors. Functional stuff, agents, processes, no problem. But we're using it a lot for creativity. And there's 2 schools on this. Hey, I'm using it to become a better artist. Okay. But when it's replacing the art form itself, I mean, my founders and CEOs aren't going to publish a book written by a robot.
Right.
And their stories are never articulated to the depth of humanity by a robot, because as good as AI is and as great as it's going to be, until data the robot, mimics a human being, we can't tell a difference, in the future, Star Trek stuff. Humanity is still, we can experience things physically. AI can only regurgitate and talk about it. It can't feel or experience. So that's the one advantage we still have as humans for now.
Yeah. And the robots don't have instincts, feel. They don't have, that's never going to be, but to your earlier point, when you can make an artist and you have a digital coworker with AI, and it can, help them unlock things that they can never get to usually, because they have to do some of the tedious and the grunt work stuff. To me, that's where we're at right now. I just think what we're about to experience, I think we're going to have a wake up call this fall as people start to play with GPT-5 and Grok 4. Grok 4 was another level for me. And I was like, oh my Lord, this is accelerating faster than I expected. And I know that all the early predictions were, hey, what we're about to experience this fall, they were predicting in 2027.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So think about that, right? We're backing up to at least a year and a half, maybe 2 years, because it's going that much faster. So to your point, right, I think we're on the bottom of the exponential curve for sure. And I don't think anybody thought, again, the founders and CEOs that I'm talking to, right, we were having this before, they think we're still here and they have time to wait. And it's like, oh, we can just say we have AI in this feature of our product. Not at all what we're talking about.
The thing that's the most disruptive in the world is changing human behavior. I'm going to share a quick story with you. I'm in the Philippines, driving on the street, and I'm growing up in a poor neighborhood, right? I see this little 4-year-old girl out in the street with a tattered shirt and no pants on. And she's holding an iPad or a tablet in her hand, playing with it. And that was the moment I realized, you son of a gun, you changed human behavior. Where that poor child found more value in a digital tablet than in clothing. And so they've changed human behavior to where there's anxiety documentation. People can't leave their phones away from themselves for, more than 6 seconds. They start to get anxious.
Yeah.
AI is not there yet, but for sure within probably the 18 months, I have a question. I just go to my AI agent on my own phone. I'll ask it that. I'm not going to go to Google. I'm not going to ask my brother-in-law. The AI will be, it's already genius level. It's predicted to go all human knowledge in one place for all of us.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means.
You know what? And I don't either, Doug. What's crazy, and I think that there's things changing underneath our feet that if you're not paying attention, don't realize, right? So one of the things is we do at Deploy here, we do a lot of go-to-market stuff for B2B, especially SaaS, right? And if you're running paid ads, right? This is just a simplistic example, right? But it will blow you away. 50% of all Google searches result in 0 clicks now. 0. And all that means is that AI has taken over that fast.
Right. Yeah.
Right? That's an astounding number. Right?
Yeah.
And it's only going to go. So people that are like worried about their Google rank, like your playbook's way outdated, right? And so let's extrapolate that into the enterprise, into all of it. I had a guest on who spoke in front of 150 mid-market, so $50 to $250 million CEOs, right? And he said he opened his speech because I was having a conversation just like you and I are having. And he said, because Brent, they don't get it. And I said, well, that scares me because, and he said, let me tell you why. He goes, so I opened the speech and I said, what got you to here? And he goes, and I congratulate all of you, will not get you further. And he said, the room, he goes, the expressions on their face, there's a lot of chattering and, laughing. They're settling in. It goes, their faces went white. Right? Because I don't think that they're experienced. So you have a lot of roundtable discussions. Are you hearing the same thing? How are you?
The thing that I've realized, I have one friend who's doing a roll up right now. He's putting to purchase about 100 AI companies and roll it up into one, shell or whatever. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, hold on a second. Now you and I are pretty smart guys. We understand that you can't stay ahead of this, right? It's physically impossible. By the very nature of AI, it is impossible to be ahead of the curve. You can't do it because it's not a 6-month learning curve. That's by that time the whole thing's obsolete and it's new. So you can't plan ahead. You can't predict things. I said, how can you buy these companies and know they're going to even be relevant in 6 months? And this is what he said. Well, it's not about the tech anymore. AI can write code faster than humans. So it's not about the tech, Doug. It's about distribution. Because if I have the distribution with all this stuff, doesn't matter what tech I flow through there. And Costco, got it. You got the network you don't care what you put in the shelf because you got the community.
Yep.
So that's the biggest thing I learned from people because people try to stay ahead of it. Oh, I got this new thing. That's gone in a week or a month.
In a week, right? I had a guy talking to me about N8N workflow. I go, guys,
I know.
In 3 months, like it's just gonna be built into the tool. Like stop chasing the how to. Right.
I got on Manus for a while. I'm like, oh, cool, right? And then the AI agent explosion happened. I'm like, wait, let me try. Oh, this one's even better, and this is even better. And before you know it, the MVP is not even. It's like, forget it. I'll just forget it.
Right. Yeah. Right. And what's crazy is what they're predicting here just in the fall. Right. Someone told me a crazy number that 30% of all code right now is written with AI, right? Mm-hmm. And that within 2 years, 100% will. And you're just going to have your developers
coaching,
co-piloting, but most of they're just telling the AI what to write, right? And how to write.
It's so much faster. Have you seen it do it? I mean, I've watched it. Like
it's insane.
I had this idea for a little piece of code. I'm like, can you make this for me? Yeah. Whoa. It was amazing, right?
Yeah. I was in Claude the other day and I was doing I said, build me this presentation, right? Which I have usually, it gives me text and I throw it in a Gamma and I have this beautiful presentation. Mm-hmm. Now they all pretty much can do it without that tool. It's insane, right? But what scared me was I said, I would really like to make my presentation a little dynamic. And I said, and I have these 4 metrics for go to market to demonstrate how you can make growth a math equation, right? And so, because again, it's number of leads, it's your show up rate, it's your close rate, right? It's your average sale value, right? I mean, it's not rocket science. It's like, how do I scale up a company, right? But I said every company has different sales cycles, different close rates, that kind of stuff. So we could actually just show them that. Anyway, it built me an interactive calculator and I was blown away, and it worked. And I'm like, publish, boom, it's on a web page. I'm like, so if I can do that today, what am I going to be able to do in a year?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Yep.
So I say all that to ask you this question, right? As you're talking to all of these leaders, right? And every leader I've ever talked to says, I need to go where the puck's going, right? But to your point, you can't stay ahead of it.
No.
So is the right way to think about this, Doug, is I just have to be faster than my 3 competitors? I don't know.
My take is to go backwards, not try to go forwards, because you can't keep up with the rocket ship, right? So what I decided this last year, and we still publish books. We still have human beings that ghostwrite. We use AI for frameworks and for title spinning, but pulling stories out, humans. The basis for all business has always been, I want to do business with people that I know, like, and trust, right? I mean, that's the way it works. In the B2B environment, I have one friend who's, man, he took a couple companies public in technology and data stuff. He's a brilliant guy. He's developing a system where your buyer's agent and your seller's agent are both AI, and they talk to each other to filter out your RFPs down to your top 10. Like, oh, that's pretty cute, but you got to have ecosystem for that.
Right.
My point is that I'm leaning into actual human relationships, because that's one thing that AI cannot do and won't be able to do in the foreseeable future. Before Japanese sex robots get really good and you can't tell, right? We can still tell for the deepfake thing, and horrible, right? But having coffee with someone, having lunch with them, meeting them at a conference like we do, AI can't do that. It can't ask intelligent questions. It needs a prompt. It can't break bread and read a person's energy or shake a hand. So in my world, I'm telling my CEOs and clients, hey, you keep doing what you're doing. I can't help you too much with the big picture on stuff, but I can help you develop more valuable, meaningful relationships with other CEOs, founders, suppliers, capital partners. So
totally agree with that.
That's my jam.
Totally agree with that. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I actually think that is a very, very smart way to go, because the one thing that you're right, that AI cannot replace is relationships. Mm-hmm. To me, you got to protect them at all costs and grow them, expand them. And it's truthfully why we started the podcast here. Yeah. It was about helping founders, meeting a bunch of founders and CEOs, but also helping them understand that the AI is, even though there's a hype cycle and I think that's what they get caught up in, that there is fundamentally game-changing things that are happening with it that they need to embrace. But I want to marry those two, right?
Yeah, and the low 7-figure revenue companies, they might not have a board. They'd have, who are you going to talk to? How are you going to say, so our community, no matter what level you are, with a 7 or 9 figure, you may have a board, you may not, but you've got one here, because I bring so many valuable, brilliant people together. You've got an ad hoc board for a couple of days that can help you with these things. At least have some feedback on what you're doing. But again, I talked to another person, I forgot his name, I'm sorry, who's something along the lines of, no matter what you do, what happens in the world or happens in the ecosystem or the environment, having a strong network is your baseline. Yeah. If I have to pivot, well, I've got a network of 100 people that I know, and they know me, and they've got wealth of information and connections. I can pivot much more easily in a community than as a silo. So there's so many benefits to building relationships. That was my TEDx talk, was the power of humanity in the shadow of AI. Yeah. Because AI is great. We're all going to use it. Can't escape it. But I have a little saying. I say, I use AI. I don't let AI use me. And
I love that saying. I tell everybody here that, on the podcast is, don't buy into the, AI is just going to replace everybody. Can it down the road? Yeah, that's just a terrible way to view the world. To me, I'm a glass half full guy. How do I make AI do the things that we hate to do, right? To free up us to do the things that we should be doing, right? And your best employees, how do we make them 3 to 5 times better with AI, right? And then that allows you to redistribute your best people to the most compelling reason you started the business in the first place, right? Yeah. So anyway, that's the way I think of it. Tell me a little bit about just kind of where you see things going. And like when you're talking to your communities, right, and your network. Like if I'm sitting here and I'm listening and I say, all right, well, Doug's got a really big network. All right, Doug, what do we think? What's the next 18 months look like? What do I need to be thinking about as a factor?
It's going to be exciting. I mean, if you can't stay ahead of the technology, but you can stay in the game, I believe, by listening and finding out where the moves are. I was watching a Ray Dalio video this morning about, you know what, things happen, things get disrupted, but you know what, maybe you want to, go invest in the picks and shovels instead of the gold. AI is, you can't keep up with it, but maybe investing in some energy will be a good idea. That's a big one.
Energy,
chip manufacturers, lithium, things like that. This is from an investment standpoint. As a business operator, it's stay nimble. So I can say you can't do a 2-year forecast very easily, so especially if you're a tech company. I don't even know what to tell you. But if you have a relationship driven, sales driven company, use AI for, data mining and lead gen. Never replace those conversations which got you there. Those relationships to build your company can still continue in the age of AI, I believe.
Yep. All right. So last question.
Yes.
If you were to, I gave you a magic wand, right? And yet you can use it, you use AI to do one thing, right? What would it be? Would it be to grow a company? It'd be to,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. Just remove a big obstacle, right? Like what would it be in the next 6 months, 12 months?
You know what? The biggest thing I think people will need help with is if there's somebody could actually watermark deepfakes. A year ago they were like, I could tell. We can't tell now, right? They're really quite good.
They're really good.
Not being too abused yet, but it's going to get much worse. A lot of people getting scammed. And anytime there's people getting scammed by stuff, that always burns me. I was talking to a cybersecurity guy yesterday about this. I said, you know what? He wants to make it a certified human for publishing. How this book was written by a human, not by a bot. How do you do that? The AI detectors aren't good anymore. I mean, they're better. Right. It's the whole battle, the drug lord,
the good guy, bad guy battles, right?
So I was watching somebody talking about how they were hacking, not through technology, but through social engineering. I said, maybe you could have some kind of social thing where only a human could, beyond CAPTCHA. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I would love to see about Magic Wand is the elimination of scams and deepfakes with the internet, because it's going to get a lot less trustworthy as we move forward, which is another reason why in person is my jam. I just know that's going to.
And I think you're onto something for sure that way. I really do, because you're right. The deepfakes. I try not to think about it, but it's going to get worse, unfortunately.
And I get caught. I'm watching some stuff for fun. I'm like, wait a minute, that's a little too fantastic. It could be true, but I'm wasting my time because I can't tell. So I just dismiss. And the problem is, I'm not just dismissing I'm probably dismissing some real things because I think it's faked. So that's why the trust, the element of trust in our economy and our technological world here, it's under siege.
It's under siege a little bit. Yeah, for sure. Doug, honestly, we're definitely gonna have to do a follow-up episode with you, because it's like just so much to cover. And I try to keep these episodes shorter, but honestly, I probably could talk to you for hours on this, because there's just so much we could dig into. So I hope that you'll come back. But thank you so much for spending time with us and for sharing your insights, because what we try to do here is just to shed light or shine light on, the opportunities, call out the risks, but also say, this is game changing. It is the most disruptive technology we've ever seen. Right. And I try to say that this is, it's happening way faster, but it's on the same level of when the internet, really came online. Right. But it's massively different, to your point about how fast it is. It is changing. So and we can't keep up with it.
Right.
Yeah. So Doug, thank you so much. Pleasure. I can't wait to get this episode live, but tell everybody, that, how they get in touch with you.
Yeah, you can contact me at my personal website is dougcrowe.com, as Crowe with an E. But if you want to meet other interesting, fascinating leaders, the Visionaries Roundtable, visionariesroundtable.com. You can apply to come meet us in Charleston for a couple of days and meet some other leaders and build your network out.
I love it. Well, hey, Doug, thank you again. Guys, that wraps up this episode of Future Proof. This is why we have phenomenal guests like Doug every day. And it's really to give you a way to expand your network and understand how AI is changing the games. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you on tomorrow's episode. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you.
If you're ready to embrace change and lead with innovation, be sure to subscribe and never miss an episode. Thanks for tuning in to the Future Proof Podcast.